talk to me a little bit about what's wrong with Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Because, go ahead.
If I may, I think that the two things that are most important to understand is one, there's this fear behind what happens when we repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, or what are our motives, what do we want, what is it that we want that we don't have now. And what we want is basic job security and a dignified life. And I think that most people can really understand that. We want to make sure that all of our service and all of our training can't be thrown out over an email or a phone call, and we want to live like human beings and not like criminals when we're out serving our country. And I think that a congressman just recently on CNN, he's a straight congressman who said, I am more concerned with whether our troops can fly straight, sail straight, and shoot straight than whether they are straight.
And do you know who said that before him?
I don't actually.
Barry Goldwater. Barry Goldwater, whose grandson is gay, was, as I know you know, ran for president, didn't get at that time, but very well respected, true conservative, not like people who call themselves conservatives now who don't want to save things, but want to blow them up. I think people have a hard time understanding what's wrong with Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Maybe not much of my audience, but still, it sounds like, what difference, why do you have to, this is what people say in public, why do you have to talk about it?
I think fundamentally you have to talk about it because a lot of people don't realize that this is an issue that's not just a gay issue, it's a women's issue, it's an equal rights issue. I like to point out a lot of times with the impact of Don't Ask, Don't Tell on women is actually pretty significant. Actually, for fiscal year 2008, which I'm one of the discharge numbers in that, women made up about 33% of the discharges in fiscal year 08, but we only make up about 15% of the overall military. And the year before that, the 2 years before that, SLDN released numbers from 07 and 06 that show that women were 40 to 50%, depending on which service, were impacted by Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So it's a women's issue as well. And I sit there and I go, a lot of when I tell that to women's groups, they're surprised that they don't know about this. And it's just something that you can't let people forget about it. I mean, you have all these young men and women who are on active duty right now, who are gay, who are risking their lives every day, who can't speak out. And that's why we're speaking out. Mm-hmm. And I think fundamentally, there's a problem with the policy that says, actually Don't Ask, Don't Tell allows gays to serve in the military. But you can't talk about it, you can't say anything about it. So we're going to take your service and you're going to risk your life, but the instant you say something or somebody says something that you're gay, that we can kick you out, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, it's so completely hypocritical.
And the argument for us not telling is, well, it would create animosity or it would endanger us. But Don't Ask, Don't Tell perpetuates the idea that there is fundamentally something wrong with the homosexual, or that our bravery somehow is less brave, or that our service is somehow less worthy. I think that, Admiral Mullen said that it's about integrity. Absolutely, it's about integrity and it's about honor. There's gay blood on the grounds of Iraq and Afghanistan, and there are policies to deal with, like we were speaking earlier, there are policies to deal with sexual misconduct. So if this is an issue of sexual misconduct, then we already have policies to deal with that. We don't remove an entire demographic of highly skilled, highly critical service of gay men and women in our military because of this idea of sexual misconduct. We have policies for that. And it's really, even for our veterans, when I went to DC and I saw veterans lining back to World War II who are gay and lesbian, it was so humbling, and it made me so sad that they're not honored the same, and that their service is not the same. That's what it comes down to with Admiral Mullen saying integrity. Integrity, both the integrity of the individual to live with integrity, and for the institution to perform and to stand for integrity, because this policy is a direct contradiction of the core values of our military. And that's why, I mean, I'm sure everyone here here today, and myself, will always say that we love our military and we love our country. We're not out to attack neither the military or our country, but the policy that is embarrassing both.
And I think what a good example of what's going to happen is our allies. I mean, the British and the Australians and the Canadians are probably culturally most similar to us, and the Israelis are in a constant state of war. And they did away with their policies. The Brits were forced to do it. The Canadians, the Israelis, and the Australians did it voluntarily. And you hear these fear-mongerings, you know, the military is going to fall apart, it's going to collapse if we let the 66,000 gay people that are in the military today come out. They're all, well, at first they're all not going to come out. You're not going to have a gay pride parade down the main highway of Fort Bragg. That's not going to happen. These people just want to be safe. And you look at the British and what happened to them, all these horrible things. They said were going to occur, people were going to resign, they were going to have problems with recruitment, on it went. And then one day, they simply announced that it was done. And the British military leadership, and this is key right now, stood up and said, we're going to make this happen. And they did. Nobody resigned. The military didn't collapse. You know, the Canadians, the Australians are over with us in Iraq and Afghanistan, fighting side by side. There have been foreign gay military leaders that have led American troops in combat, and they go on and do a superb job. So it's just fear-mongering. It's just, it's totally false. And they're just putting up these barriers. You know, they raise one thing after another, and if you look at it closely, they're red herrings. It's just one red herring after another.
Well, you know, discrimination is a very powerful tool for people that don't have any other way to seem better than other people.
The fear, too.
It's just exactly it's all that it's for. I mean, if it wasn't about sexual orientation, if we were all exactly the same except for the size of our ears, then there would be good ears and bad ears. You know, I mean, it's just setting up a hierarchy so that you can have a better and a worse. And even to hear the three of you say, in a sense, there's nothing to this, we're just as good, etc. It's hard for me to listen to, because of course we're just as good. And to have to have gone through this, what you said about women it's been very interesting to me for 30 years, because the antagonism to women serving at all was helped a lot by Don't Ask, Don't Tell, because any woman who wanted to serve must be a dyke, because why would you want to be in the military? And if you were accused of that, you would be thrown out. So what a great way to keep women from serving, even though a lot of people have said, oh, no, 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 you know.
What's really exciting to me is, while I would love to see a repeal tomorrow, I welcome this 12-month period of education. I mean, we are a very large country, and I really think that it's exciting to me to see these useless arguments for why we should maintain the repeal get the exposure to the national public for why they don't have a leg to stand on. Why saying that we're in 2 wars is ridiculous, because it's more imperative now that we not lose troops. That we're in an economic recession, therefore we can't afford this policy. Or even better yet, that it will affect unit cohesion, and there is nothing that can prove it. On the other side, there's 53 years of military reports that will say that it's not affecting unit cohesion, that it won't affect unit cohesion, and we'll get one more report that will solidify that.